Hello and welcome to part 13 of my PGR2 Platinum walkthroughs. This is the second to last part. There will only be one more series, and as always, because this is a new video, it's also about a new series. This new series is called Extreme Series, because, well, it's alluding to the cars, to the car class, and the cars are supposed to be extreme. They certainly were back then in 2004. Today, well, not really anymore. The likes of the Ferrari F50, F40, Jaguar XJ220 you're seeing here are obviously very, very fast cars even today. But under extreme, you would understand today something like the Koenigseggs, the Rimac, or how they are called, these fully electric hypercars, etc., etc. But yeah, nonetheless, obviously, all of these cars in this very class here are still extremely fast cars, and the first one, I mentioned it, and most of you will know anyway, is the Jaguar XJ220. So the first challenge is a timed run, a two-lap hot lap if you want, so through the streets of Chicago at night. And this is one of the tracks I just noticed that has, again, very bad visibility in some parts of the track at least, and it was one of those challenges I needed, certainly a few tries at least. Like, it wasn't super difficult, but yeah, you needed to practice a little bit. The Jaguar is one of the class-leading cars, I would say. It's very quick in acceleration and top speed. It has pretty good handling, but where it stood out to me the most were its brakes. I had the feeling, like, I believe it had by far the best brakes in the entire class. Or one of the best, definitely. The Jag itself is definitely one of my absolute favorite cars of all time, supercars. I know I'm saying that about many cars in this game, but, well, the game does feature a lot of my favorite cars of all time, like the 575 Maranello, Aston Martin Vanquish, Corvette C5, Ferrari 355, Ferrari F50, F40. Yeah, I know I spoiled those. For now, the others I'll try not to spoil. And there were more which you have already seen in my previous videos. So yeah, the Jag is just fantastic. It sounds amazing. Also in real life, allegedly it is over 350 kilometers quick in real life, which is absolutely insane for 92, or when it launched. It was for a relatively short time the fastest car in the world, because I believe it did release slightly before the McLaren F1, which smashed its record with 386 kilometers per hour, which is insane. And I heard that the McLaren F1 had a high downforce mode for tracks and a low downforce mode for the top speed runs. I just recently heard it, and I have never heard of that before. So it would be cool if someone of you could post a comment below. If you know something about it, I would really like to know. I just didn't research yet, so yeah, I just would be interested if any one of you knows something about that. I would love to hear that. I love to read that in the comments. Well, yeah, so this is the first race, and as always, I will leave you alone with the replay. Alright, so the next challenge is yet again in Chicago and yet again at night, but over this time around we will be using a new car, and the challenge is again also something different, something new. This time it's the one of the overtaking challenge, just when we had or have in total 3.5 minutes time to overtake 7 cars. I opted for the Ford GT, the old one. But it's built year 1969 or even before that, I'm not quite sure, but it's definitely a 60s car. And considering that, yeah, it is pretty extreme. It is unbelievably capable for considering its age. Yes, it does weight barely anything, but if I'm not mistaken, again, its motor is only, in exclamation marks, second car down, which is the Honda NSX Type R. Has what does it have? Roughly 350 horsepower. Now this is by today's standards for sports cars nothing special. Like, you can buy hatchbacks with almost as much horsepower today, but because of its very, very light weight and very wide body, it's quite, well, yeah, quite extreme, quite impressive. Third car down. What I noticed is that I always push the Lotuses to the side in my review. Does this have a hidden meaning? I don't understand myself or something. I don't know. Fourth car down. No, I'm joking, but this is just something I noticed. Anyway, yeah. This was the reason, or is the reason, why the car is so fast. But still, I find it fascinating that even considering its very low weight, that it is so impressively, supremely quick with only roughly 350 horsepower. It is an extremely capable car in every single game I have played in GT Sport as well, although there it was, on Tsukuba at least, slightly slower than the Shelby Cobra, but then again, it does share similarities, if you want. So it's also an American car, also from the 60s. That here is a middle motor setup layout, I believe, mid-engine, and the Cobra is a front engine rear-wheel drive. But they are both rear-wheel drive and have the same philosophy of, well, let's say a lot of power and very, very little weight. Lightweight supercars, sports cars. Seven cars to overtake as always, and if I did not miscount, we only have 5 with this one down, so only 15 seconds left, and we still gotta go. Yeah, there are the 2 cars. Alright, so it's all correct. There was the Lotus Esprit and Ferrari 575 Maranello, I believe, which we flew by like they were nothing. And this corner, I hated it because you really could not see it. But anyway, as always, enjoy it. Alright, the next challenge is a street race, 3 laps at night again in Chicago, and I'm using for the second time the XJ220. What I forgot to mention is that the last challenge I did with the 4GT is the only challenge I will do with the 4GT. Because, well, I tried, of course, as always, many challenges with the slower cars, and this time around the 4GT is the slowest car of this class. All in all, not by far, but noticeably. Well, that was close. What I did there, like extremely close. But yeah, this was instead the only time I used that, for the very reason that it's just not quick enough for the hour challenges. It was just too much of a hassle, and would be too much of a hassle to use it in any of the hour challenges. For now, I would say my driving was pretty good. Did you see those lines I took? Like braking points and all of that, it was just pretty great. The car to the left of us right now is the Ascari, behind us, directly behind us. Ascari KZ1 or something like that. Yeah, I knew this car back then, but I completely forgot about this car and this brand. I don't even know what kind of other cars they have built and released, if they did at all. Basically, I don't know anything about this automaker, quite honestly. I should check them out. I should well, Google them or something. Would be interesting. So I opted this time again for the XJ because I did have very good experience with it in the first challenge, in the timed run, and it seemed a good fit, and it really was. It's a very capable car in this class. I mean, there are, I believe, 5 cars at least in this class which are very comparable. Again, good driving, except here. This was my first major mistake, where I just turned in too early because I just could not see where I needed to go. It just had to happen, you know. I couldn't finish a race without crashing at least once, but well, it is what it is anyway. So the Jag, the XJ220, plus the Ascari, which is behind us right now, plus the Porsche Gt2, which you have seen at the start of the race, and the Ferrari F40 and Ferrari F50. In my opinion, they are quite comparable lap time wise. The Jag is very stable, has amazing brakes, but just possibly lacks a little bit of acceleration, or in the handling, just the turn speeds. I don't know, it just never felt OP or anything. It was just a very good all-rounder. Oh, that was bad again. The Ascari seemed extremely quick in a straight line, but was the worst handling of all cars in this class. Very slippery, very wild, oversteery. The Porsche Gt2 was, of those 5 cars in general or in total, the least, or the fast car, or the slowest car. I mean, it had good acceleration, top speed, handling, brakes, but in total it was just a little bit lacking. The Ferrari F50 is extremely stable, like it's on rails. It handles amazingly, has really good acceleration and top speed and turn speeds, etc., and brakes, but lacks just this little bit of speed and total speed of the F40, which is the class leading car here. And I never understood, or I just assumed that the F50 was the better car than the F40, because now I'm missing the word. Well, the F50 was the model that came after the F40, and in fact 7 years after it. It was just logical to assume it would be better. But apparently that's not the case. It seems that many games like this here or Gran Turismo Sport were simulating those two cars rather accurately. Namely that the F40 was, well, not by much, but noticeably a quicker car than the F50, and in this case, in this game, it's also the case. Anyway, enjoy the replay. Okay, so the next challenge is again in Chicago, again at night. one lap this time because it's a head-to-head. We're using the Ascari KZ1 or something like that, and we're driving in this car, I did forget, against a Porsche 959, the legendary 959, which yeah, is the second of the two Porsches in the series. Man, that was just bad. And look at this. Oh, pure carnage, and I'm at fault, I admit. Braked far too late. But yeah, not only does this car handle pretty badly, like it's quick through the corners, to be quite honest, if you do it right. But it's not easy to do it with this car because it is so slidey, so oversteery. And apart from that, it does have bad brakes. This is what I forgot to mention, as you could very how do you say that, so very evidently witness, because yeah, it crashed into the wall like I wasn't braking at all. The 959, by the way, should be the last car of this race. I'm pretty sure I did not. Wow, this is just bad. My driving is bad, admittedly, and the car's brakes. And look at this, the handling when you do not get it right is also really bad. It kind of switches between understeering and oversteering, which is very bad when the car does it. So the 959, what I was about to say, is I would say the second slowest car of this class after the Ford GT in general. So the next challenge is also a head-to-head, also for Chicago, but this time during the day. Very fortunately, because for now you could at least see where you're going, at least in most cases when it's not too shady. And I opted for the XJ220 because yeah, it is much better than the Ford GT 959 or the Ascari I just used. Yeah, the opponent, as you can see, is also an XJ220, and that was again very bad driving by me, losing my clean race bonus. And well, yeah, it was a pretty short one. I didn't pay attention. It were 2 laps this time, though, I believe. But yeah, it's a short track, so that would make sense. We'll see. This track layout I like quite a bit, even if I wasn't driving very well. This should be the second to last corner if I'm not mistaken. Yep, there is the start-finish line. Okay, 1 lap. The next challenge is yet again a head-to-head, yet again in Chicago, yet again one lap, and yet again during the day. So 3 head-to-heads in a row. I opted this time for the Ascari and raced against the class leading car, which is the F40, both cars in red, which look beautiful in my opinion. And well, if you've listened to me for the last, what is it now? Well, 30 minutes, we're 30 minutes into the video. I admittedly shed quite a lot on the Ascari for being a very bad car in many circumstances, in many situations. Why did I use it against the class leading car? It's simple. Because the head-to-heads are the easiest challenges in the game. You only have one opponent to overtake and only one opponent to push to the side if needed be. So this is why I used a relatively slow car against the class leading car. Okay, so the next race is a timed run in Washington. New location, finally, during the day, in the dry, and well, because, yes, I do mention it every time, the hot laps and the timed runs are the most difficult challenges, of course, except the con challenges. I opted for the class leading car this time, for the first time, so I'm driving for the first time the F40, which is, well, there are a lot of reasons why this car has really an absolute legendary status, because it, quite frankly, deserves it, deserves every bit of it. It's a phenomenal car. It looks amazing. Quite 80s. The back certainly isn't as beautiful as the front, but still it looks amazing, and it's essentially a racing car for the road. You have nothing like, and no radio. I'm not even sure, did it have ABS back then? Anti-lock system? I don't know. Did it have steering assist? I don't know. I would also assume no. Certainly no traction control and no stability control, that's for sure. 478 horsepower, mid-engine, rear-wheel drive layout, sounds absolutely mental. One of the best sounding cars ever built, together with the F50 and the F430, Lamborghini Gallardo, Porsche Carrera GT, and the Lexus LFA. Yeah, I know my cars, right? So yeah, one of the best selling cars ever. It's very lightweight. This is why it is also so quick. And allegedly Ferrari painted the chassis extra thin in order to save some weight, which I think is just. It's just so ridiculous. It's unbelievable. It's so very Italian again, I think, at least. But yeah, anyway, enjoy the replay. So the next one is a really fun one. A 2-lap slalom slash cone challenge through the streets, through the wide, fast streets of Washington. First time using the Porsche Gt2, also one of the most legendary supercars ever built. Yeah, shameful, but I, again, like with some other cars, don't know when it has been released. Was it still in the 80s? If it was in the 80s, well, certainly at the end of the 80s, like the F40, but I'm not sure. Maybe it was already in the beginning of the 90s. I would suppose that it was still the 80s though. But yeah, for its time, it was just phenomenal. I believe the best car in the world for a certain time, even if not for far too long. But still, yeah, just a crazily good car. In this game, also very capable and very, oh, that was close. Did you see that? It was so close to the barrier, and my speed wasn't also too big, so I was a bit lucky there. But yeah, it was very well suited for this type of challenge because it is very, very drifty and slidey, but in a very pleasant and controlled manner, not like the Ascari, which is just wild, or the F40, which is also wild, but certainly much more controllable than the Ascari, like basically between the Ascari and the Gt2. And the Gt2 drives pretty good, you know, handles pretty well. And yeah, this is why I opted for it. Now this here I built again a little drift in between, as to not let the combo break. The Kudos Target, as you can see on the screen, is 14,750 points. This is one of those late 2-lap cone challenges where you do not need to do consecutive 2 laps without breaking the combo. If you look at the points at the above at the right hand corner, I already have almost 14,000 in yellow now and over 1,000 in white, so you would count it together and I would already now be at, well, what is it, 15,613, yeah, now already at 18,000 roughly points. Of course I could have just stopped and take the points, you know, and then once they are collected, so to say, it's simply slowly drive through the track and through the finish line. Although you can't be too slow, there is a time limit, so you need to have a certain average speed, a quick average speed. But I could still take it slowly if you want, so, right? Take it easy. But because I'm from time to time at least, a very competitive player, I of course wanted my high score, you know. I wanted those 2 consecutive laps, especially because the cone challenges in Washington are some of the easier ones. And so I did, and at the end had, well, almost 31,000, more than twice the required points, which I'm a little bit proud of. But then again, this challenge isn't as challenging as most other long 2-lap cone challenges, especially not as challenging as the most difficult one in the Grand Touring series with the Ferrari, which I did with this 575 through the streets of Hong Kong, and where Stribbler on his YouTube channel did manage 2 consecutive laps, which I think is just really, like, yeah, supremely impressive. Like I'm just impressed. So that's definitely compliment to him and his racecraft and his just sheer will to do it, and his his will, because I was so fed up with that challenge that I just was happy enough to finally have enough kudos points, and I absolutely could not be arsed enough to try more and do those 2 consecutive laps. Well, not in this challenge really, but here it was quite doable. Although I did have multiple runs where I was close to the finish line, I had my points. Like I could have stopped, and I don't know, like less than half a minute or even sometimes roughly 10 seconds before the straight and finish line, I had some stupid mistake where I would touch a cone, and if you touch a cone, you lose just an immensely huge amount of kudos, where you wouldn't even have enough to win the challenge. But anyway, even if I didn't touch it and just the combo broke because I was too slow, I didn't want that. I wanted my 2 consecutive laps at least here, and well, yeah, so I did. Anyway, enjoy the little rest of the replay. Okay, so the next challenge is a hot lap for Washington during the night in the dry. The first time we're doing the hot lap in this series, if I'm not mistaken, I could be mistaken. I believe it's the first time. Very short one, slightly under a minute. And I'm using for the first time the F50, which is only in a cabriolet convertible version in this game. Chose the gray color, which isn't very well known, which isn't very popular with this car, because in most cases, most Ferraris, it's in red or yellow. Black was also one popular car for the one popular color for this car. But yeah, I just wanted to do something different and just chose the gray one. The challenge itself I found pretty difficult with the F50, at least. I know that Stribla did also this challenge with the F50, and I know he did beat my time. He was even quicker, so I think he has quite the talent in this game, at least. Anyway, enjoy the replay. Alright, so the next challenge is a street race through Washington, 4 laps during the night in the dry. And I again for the class leading car, the F40, this time in menacing black. Not a color this car is known for, and I'm not even sure if they have ever been like built and sold officially for Ferrari in another color than red. Really, I don't know. Would like to know if someone of you knows something about that. Please feel free to comment. But yeah, I again wanted to bring in a little bit of variety, and I think it just looks pretty damn amazing, pretty damn cool in black, like really menacing, really actually menacing. Yeah, I think it also does look quite good in yellow, not as good as the F50 in yellow does, but yeah, still a fitting color for this car. At the front, we're, as always, as you by now very much know, also the class leading car, because this is how the game does that, and this is why we are hunting down another F40. This challenge wasn't really easy, but also again not too difficult, because there's particularly one corner, the last corner of a lap, where the AI was pretty weak. There is mostly at least one corner on almost every track where the AI is just unusually slow, and this is the corner here. Like, look what he does. It's just, he just lost half a second just in this one corner at least, and of course I would take advantage of that. This very technical corner I have been talking about in my earlier parts, my earlier videos. I just can't really get right. Here, some nice jumps in between. Yeah, it was a pretty cool track layout, very fun one, very fast. So can I get this corner this time right at least? Okay, that was far from perfect, but better than the last two times. At least I'm better here than the AI. Or not. Not this time around though. Oh no, that is close. That looks cool. Beautiful fight. I know that what I just did has a name, this technique, this overtaking technique. I forgot. There for a very brief moment I thought I need to go to the right because I'm a dumbass, I don't know why. That's why I hit the wall. Oh, and the F40 is not in the lead anymore. Should be the XJ220 if I saw that right. Alright, now this time the corner was okay-ish. And this corner here this time was, very good. That was close to perfection though. That should be it. Yep, over 2000 points. Nice. Have fun with the replay. So the next race challenge is a street race, 2 laps through Washington during the night in the dry. And I switched back again to the F50 in black also, like I had it on my F40 in the last race. And oh yeah, now I remember this race pretty well. That was very difficult, to me at least. For Strubla it was probably a breeze again, like first or second try, but with the F50 I needed a lot of tries. I don't know, the AI I think at least was unusually strong on this track layout. Nothing impossibly quick or anything, but yeah, just unusually strong. And I did try many times. Oh, well, big mistake by the F40 there. Gt2 on the lead, which is a rather rare sight during the street races. That was a little bit too slow, really. The track layout itself is rather fun, not as good as the last track, I think, but it is kinda, no, it's kinda very technical, difficult to describe, and again, the AI was unusually quick on this track. Fortunately less than the part I've just ridden through. As you could see, I built up a lead immediately. Here it depends, you could sometimes build a lead here, sometimes you just do not. A little bit, and yeah, I won. Alright, the next challenge is a street race again during the night again in Washington, and I did take the XJ220 this time for a little bit of a ride, quite honestly, and yeah, I think it is the third best car in this series after the F40 and the F50. Although I would assume it pretty much trades blows with the F50 depending on the track. I really believe that on some track the F50 would be advantaged slightly over the XJ, and on another track it would be the other way around, but they are in general they should be pretty equally quick, while the F40 would remain the OP car basically for every track. Oh yes, and now I do remember this challenge also pretty well. This was definitely one of the hardest challenges, street race challenges at least, in the entire game. A very cool track layout, but kind of difficult for me at least to memorize really well. In the first tries I did it, and the F40 was just really good here on this track, on this layout. And hunting it down with the XJ, to me at least, was not an easy task at all. Like, my driving, as you can see, is actually really good this time around, pretty consistent. And the F40 would just drive off, build up a lead rather easily. So I had to give it my all. Oh, that was good. That was really good. Yeah, I can see my lines are actually rarely perfect through the turns, but also rarely really bad. So, and yeah, again, in general, really in this challenge I was driving pretty well. And this is again the part where the AI is slightly slower. Clean race bonus gone. And this section of 2 or 3 corners, the AI was also relatively slower. You could gain ground on it. Yeah, this is where I had the feeling I could finally go to the inside and, well, yeah, unfairly and cowardly just pushed myself violently through, just pushed the opponent to the side. Pretty Gran Turismo-like, if I'm being honest, and I'm a pretty big Gran Turismo fanboy, by far, with a huge distance, my favorite video game series of all time. But yeah, it's pretty common in the Gran Turismos to just smash into the opponents, especially in the older titles, and thus gain the lead. But yeah, that's that, so enjoy the replay. Okay, the next challenge is this Cirrus's Speed Trap Challenge with a speed target of 251 km/h or 156 mph. The fastest speed trap challenge in the game for now we've had yet. I chose the OP car, obviously. And I believe it should even remain the fastest speed trap challenge in the game, if I'm not mistaken. We will see in the next video, in the next part. The next challenge is a driver's duel or a head-to-head, and for the first time I'm using the Porsche 959 in beautiful red. This car was more known, I believe, at least for the black color, but although no, red was also very popular. Yeah, I remember now. It does fit the car very well. I'm driving against a red Ferrari F50 through the streets of Barcelona, which just looks, at least then later in the replay, stunning. I did the same thing here in the replay as I did with the Lotus as Pre-V8 versus Ferrari 575 Maranello. Almost same track, or the same track? Oh, it's a different layout this time around. But anyway, I edited also this camera view, this low to the ground camera view, just as in the fight between the Esprit and the 575. So yeah, make sure to check out the replay as well. Here of course was again important to put yourself ahead as soon as you can. Very technical corner here, but done pretty well, so that you would have a chance to get into the lead at all and then stay in the lead, especially in those tight tracks. You could then easily stay in the lead. But anyway, yeah, enjoy the pretty cool, pretty beautiful replay. Okay, so the next challenge is in Yokohama, 3-lap street race in the dry during the day. And I did use the Porsche 911 Gt2 993 in white, which looks pretty good on this car, I think. Very strong field, Ferrari F50 XJ, another Gt2. I spun them thankfully there, because this is one of those races I tried many times until I finally was able to beat the opponents with a at least slightly disadvantaged car. I love that section, the entirety of it full throttle. Very quick. At the end of the straight you had like probably over 250 km/h on the needle. This very technical corner here again. If you're too fast, you're just smashing into the barrier on the left side. But yeah, I did not exceptionally well, but pretty well for now. Oh, almost hit the barrier. Very late braking point I chose there. Here again, a little bit too late. And here. But all in all, it was clean, good driving. Here, very technical. You need to take all the speed you can, you use all the space. And here, it looks so extremely easy in this corner you've just seen. But like, you can misjudge it so easily if you turn in just a little bit too early, you're hitting the barrier. If you turn in just a little bit too late, you're hitting the barrier because you're just driving so fast at that point of time. And well, yeah, the corner was very technical indeed. It just looked so easy and open and wide, although it is actually very narrow going with these speeds, and the window of turning in, the time window of turning in is very narrow as well. Oh no, this time this was quite a bit better. Yeah, that was also rather good. Again, it just looked so easy. Very impressed, by the way, with the scale of the surroundings of the levels in this game. I mean, yeah, I had my ramblings about how the Xbox was so powerful in one of the earlier Cirrus videos. But you could see that absolutely. It was just pretty evident that the Xbox had a lot of power under the hood. In this challenge we are driving again a Porsche and again for Yokohama, but this time, well, it is also during the day, it's in the rain, actually very heavy rain, and we're doing it in the other Porsche, the 959, matching with the overcast and rainy atmosphere. I chose the gray color. Well, off the line, as you could see, the 959 is quite the monster, because it is, the only all-wheel drive car in this entire series. So, especially in the rain, you would have a big advantage at the beginning. But this is still one of those races where you need it, especially in the first half a lap or the first entire lap, to drive basically completely flawless in order to have a chance to get to the race leading cars, which are again also class leading cars as always. So you would even have a chance at the win, and so I did, and overtook them in the first lap. Because here, especially on the straight, just no chance against the Ferraris. Still a very enjoyable race. I liked it a lot. I like the feel of the handling in this very heavy rain situation. The 959 itself in the game is the second slowest car of the class, but well, I mean, it's especially in those conditions it's still quite capable, and again, especially off the line, probably very handy for head-to-heads. And the car itself in real life was a revelation when it released, with its new all-wheel drive system, a lot of horsepower, not that much of weight. That was bad, just braked far too late, and the F50 is immediately there to take advantage of it. It was very, very, very impressive and amazing car for its time. The best sports car, or at least definitely the most advanced sports car in the world when it released in 86, possibly. Did it release before the F40? No, it should have been after it. Well, everywhere between 86 and 89 it must have been. So all the auto car journalists are always so impressed by it when they test it today, even. So guys, this is the last race of this series, again in Yokohama, again during the night, during the heavy rain. And I did try this challenge though, with the 959, and thought it would be a worthy car, difficult word, worthy car to end this challenge with, but was apparently a little bit too slow really for this track configuration. Oh my god, I'm starting to have difficulties to pronounce the words, well, somewhat correctly at least, after almost 1.5 hours runtime of this video. Really not that easy to talk in a foreign language for such a long time, especially if you didn't have any real life practice doing so, except those videos. But yeah, anyway, enough of that. The leading race cars, of course, and the 50, and of course, and the 40. And because the 959 was just a tad too slow, I thought, well, during the rain, you know, why not a black menacing F40, just go all out and take the class leading car. Well, I mean, if the F40 isn't also one worthy car of ending a series, I don't know what is, because yeah, it's like being honest here as a German guy. The F40 is objectively seen the more legendary car than even the 959, although the 959 was technologically much more advanced, like night and day difference, honestly. Still, yeah, the F40 is just pure passion. It was around the track, or is around the track, definitely quicker than the 959, and was also in real life, I'm pretty sure of it. And well, yeah, I mentioned the word passion. Of course, it would shine with, or shine through, or not extract, but shine outwardly with passion, if you want so, because, well, after all, it is an Italian car. And yes, my favorite sports cars or car brands are Italian. Lamborghini #1. A long story, has more to do with my childhood, but I mean, they have never built really bad cars if you think about it. Like, okay, the Diablos were a little bit overhyped. They were not really great cars, but I would say far from bad. And then Ferrari and Maseratis and Pagani, you know, all of those. I love them all. I just love them. Italian cars are just the best when it comes to design, you know, and the sound and the passion and the history behind them. And, yeah, especially Ferrari and Lamborghini are known for all of that. But yeah, this is the last, because this is the last race, I'll leave you as always alone with the replay, and as always hope that you did enjoy this part of my video series as well, and if you did, please leave a like, a comment, maybe a sub, maybe even share it somewhere, and I definitely hope to see you in the next part, which will be the last part of the video series for the Platinum walkthrough of the Kudos Championship, but not the last video I'm going to upload of this game. I have some pretty cool things planned for the videos after that. I believe it will be about 5 or 6 thorough videos I'm gonna release, so look forward to that. And well, yeah, I'll see you the next time. Bye bye.